Alright, so I'm back with another chess opening trap, and this opening trap is really just a thematic idea that can arise in multiple different openings, like in the Italian game and some other king-pawn openings. But this specifically is going to focus on the Budapest Gambit, which starts with d4, knight f6, pawn to c4, and pawn to e5. So this is just giving up a free pawn on e5. I'd say most of the time white chooses to take the pawn, and then here we're going to play knight to g4. Knight to e4 is also a line, but knight to g4 is going to be the move that we focus on here. So there are a couple different things that white can do here. Usually white goes knight to f3, so that's the move that we are going to focus on. Bishop to f4 is also possible, and other moves that don't guard this pawn are also possible. But knight to f3 is the move that we're going to focus on. And then next in this position we're going to play pawn to d6. So we're going to give up another pawn for rapid development and look to castle quickly and just get our pieces really active here. So we're going to focus on the case where white chooses to take the pawn on d6, so e takes d6, and then we're going to play bishop takes d6. And then here, this is the critical position. If white does not play pawn to e3, knight to c3 defending the queen, you'll see what I mean later, but if any other move is played really other than something like bishop d2 or knight d2, then there's a serious tactic here. So let's say white chooses to play pawn to a3. This would fall for an unfortunate trap, and the trap is knight takes f2. And you might be wondering, okay, what happens if just king takes f2? Well, here there are actually a couple ways to go about this, but bishop to g3 is the most straightforward. And then after either pawn takes or king takes, the queen is left to be taken on the next move. Also, you could play bishop c5 here, and then if e3 or bishop e3, you can take the queen. If king to g3, you can take the queen. And if king to e1 is played, you can play bishop f2 here. And after king takes f2, then you can take the queen. So that works also. So going back, this is really the critical position. If a3 is played, that's no good. If anything that doesn't block this file is played, then this tactic works. If knight to c3 isn't played, guarding the queen, or if e3 is played, giving the king an extra flight square on e2, then this tactic works. So if something like pawn to h3 is played, the tactic works again. So here after knight takes f2, king takes f2, there's bishop g3, and the queen is going to be lost. So this is a pretty interesting thematic sacrifice idea and a pretty straightforward way to go about it in the Budapest Gambit. It's also worth noting that if after d takes e5, black chooses to play knight to e4, a similar pattern can arise. So if something like knight f3 is played, pawn to d6, take, a similar pattern will arise. So if something like pawn to a3 is played here, then knight takes f2 works in this position too. So king takes f2 and bishop to g3 check, and the queen is going to be lost. So here it doesn't really matter if knight to e4 or knight to g4 is played. It kind of just all depends on what white chooses to do on the following moves following this sacrifice on d6. This is really the critical position, whether the knight is on e4 or g4. This is just a tactic to really look out for. So this knight takes f2 sacrifice is very good, especially in blitz or bullet. You can really get your opponent quickly if he's not paying attention. So I thought this was a cool trap, and hopefully this was an instructive video, and I will see you guys next time.